Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, Nonstop Talking with your girl here, Vivian Liu. Today I will be discussing, well, I titled this as the most surprising TV shows and movies I watched in 2021, but the more accurate description is that these are the ones that just missed the cut for my best videos, and I still wanted to talk about them and recommend them, and that's why they're here in their own separate video. So that's what I'm doing today. There are, I think, 11 titles, and they're going to be in alphabetical order because I need to take a break from all the countdowns that I am doing. And so starting us off at number 1 is Alex Rider season 2. So I watched season 1 actually earlier this year, and I thought it was mediocre. It was decent. I was entertained, but it wasn't like mind-blowing. It wasn't great. I was looking forward to season 2 because I thought it would, be fun. And I was pleasantly surprised at how much fun I had. Like, I really, truly think it pushed the envelope and exceeded itself from what it had produced in season 1. So in season 1, we meet Alex Rider, who is an orphan living with his uncle. His uncle mysteriously dies, and then we find out that his uncle is actually a spy, and his uncle's organization is trying to recruit Alex. So all that happens in season 1, and then the season 2 is like the fallout of everything that happens in season 1, and now him trying to go back to living like a normal schoolboy life, and it's very difficult. Trouble just follows Alex Rider, and honestly, this, like I said, is very entertaining, great action sequence, and I'm just so happy that there's like a kid-friendly spy show out there for those who want this. One thing I was really excited to see was that Kyra from the first season is back in the second season, and I feel like with a lot of like spy flicks, the female companion always like gets like switched off every time, and it just feels like they're just like a prop there. So for her to like come back like made me really happy, and I actually really like her, and they form like this great trio, her, Alex, and Alex's best friend, and then even like the family unit of like, I guess she's kind of like their live-in nanny, like just like the relationships, the connections, the dynamic in this are really great. And I mean, it's not the best thing that you've ever seen in like the teen spy flick show world, but it is pretty solid, and I think it's like building itself up to be better and better. Number 2, Brooklyn Nine-Nine season 8. Well, technically, I've never really talked about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so let's say this is me recommending seasons 1 through 8. I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine annually since when it first came out because I am a fan of Andy Samberg, and I think he is hilarious, so I was excited to see him have a show. I watched it, loved it, followed it ever since, and this season 8 is its final season, and I think it was a very solid connection, and it tied in real life current events in very well, and very in a way like that, like was very attuned to what was going on, so like in a considerate way. And so I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is so funny. Everyone in the cast is just so great, and the ensemble, like, it feels like they have such an amazing bond, and I think when you really do, it comes off on screen, and it just allows viewers to enjoy it that much more with you. And it's crazy to think like Brooklyn Nine-Nine was like almost prematurely canceled, and I'm so glad that it did get picked up and it did get to continue and have a proper conclusion. And I do think this last season did a good job in giving viewers and longtime fans just a proper farewell. Number 3 is Cruella. I feel like Disney live actions have have now been like a hit or a miss, and I'm very happy to report that I think Cruella works. I think it was a solid origin story. I think Emma Stone and Emma Thompson were fantastic together. The grand and outlandish antics were very entertaining to watch. The clothes were really fun, and just seeing like how they were like developed was really cool. And I just really enjoyed like just so many parts. Like, I know it's not very true to like the 101 Dalmatians, but honestly I don't really remember that, and I don't really know the other Cruellas, and so for me this was completely new and fresh, and I liked it. I would say that my favorite scene is the moth dress. Number 4 is Elf. I know it's absolutely blasphemous that I haven't seen Elf until this year and very recently. But I wasn't really a big fan of comedy growing up, so I never really seeked it. And I don't know why. This year I watched a lot of comedy stuff. And my coworker had recommended that I watch Elf, and she's given me pretty solid recommendations this year. In addition, I know that Elf is like a modern classic for Christmas, and I feel like every year you see that Will Ferrell and his Elf costume meme just pop up. So I felt like I was missing out by not watching Elf, and it's on HBO, so I decided to give it a try, and I loved it. I loved it. 5 out of 5. Like, it was so good, and I was genuinely surprised at how like ridiculous the plot is, but how everything just worked. And it doesn't need a sequel. Like, this is just solid the way it is. The story goes that there is a human baby by the name of Buddy who kind of gets adopted by an elf and lives in the North Pole, and it isn't until adulthood that he finds out that he's actually human and not an elf, and he goes into like the human world to find his biological father. And honestly, there's so much Christmas joy and cheer in this, which I think is great. And it's funny and it works. Like, really, that's just the key thing. Like, magically, like, it works, and I had such a fun time watching this, and I was genuinely like, wow, because I was kind of on like a roll of like watching Christmas stuff that I wasn't really enjoying, and I felt like Elf came in there and just smashed that rut, and yeah, I'm very happy it did. Number 5 is High on the Hog: How African American Cuisine Changed America. Is that transformed America? Transformed America. I gave this a 5 out of 5. It's, I guess, a docu-series, and it's just brilliant. So it follows like African American food from Africa to the US, particularly like Texas, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And honestly, it's just so educational, but there are like, you know, moving bits, because they obviously have to discuss slavery, and I think it's done in a way that was a learning experience, especially for me. So I think it was really good. Number 6 is Loki. So we learned that Loki didn't die in Endgame. Instead, he's stuck in this weird time dimensional loop world. I don't know how to explain the synopsis, but if you like MCU, you've already seen this probably. But yeah, I just want to applaud Tom Hiddleston. He is amazing, and his commitment to Loki is so commendable. And the plot was just fun, complex, and just such a treat, and I am highly looking forward to the second season. Number 7 is Never Have I Ever Season 2. So Season 2 came out this year. I watched Season 1 last year, and it was on my best list. So I feel like it very, very narrowly missed the best list. If it wasn't already on it before, I feel like that's the reason why. And so the first season is about high school student Devi, who enters into a pact with her 2 best friends where they're like, hey, we are gonna lose our virginity this year. We're not gonna be losers anymore. And there's also like part of the story of her trying to grieve the death of her father, and then there's also a love triangle. And season 2 picks up where season 1 ends, and it's great. I think Mindy Kaling just knows what she's doing, writes very funny and very relatable stories. I don't know why, like, I'm like stumbling through my words right now, but yeah. But Never Have Ever season 2 is great. Season 1 was great. And the only thing is that, like, if you cannot tolerate Debbie, because for whatever reason she always finds the worst resolution possible and goes with it, and she has a lot of like anger management issues that are like from unresolved, issues. But yeah, I just feel like, especially with season 2, I've said this in season 1 that I'm team Paxton, and I feel like in season 2 we really get to see Paxton grow and mature as a character, and that was such a treat for, I feel like, team Paxton fans. But I do think Debbie needs to be alone. Number 8 is No Time to Die. This is one of the few movies I watched in theaters, and I watched this with my boyfriend, and we both really enjoyed it. And his roommate watched it right before us, and he really enjoyed it. I feel like if you are a fan of like the James Bond 007 franchise, and if you've enjoyed Daniel Craig's run as this character, you'll feel like this was a very, very satisfying conclusion. It was a fantastic send-off for Daniel Craig. There are some things where I'm like, especially with wiping out a whole organization. But like I said, for Daniel Craig, I think this was great. And I do think it is time that we usher in a new Bond to attract this new young generation. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing who they select and to seeing what stories they will write and who will be the next Bond girls. I think that's always fun. By the way, I do think Ana de Armas was totally underused in this movie. Like, don't say she's in this movie and then just give her that much little. That wasn't cool. Number 9 is Shadow and Bone. I read the books and thought they were just decent, a little below average. I wasn't a big fan of the books, but they were good. The duology, at least the trilogy, I thought was just how's it that, like, I wasn't sure how I would feel about the live action, and the live action just blows it out of the water. Like, I think it did such a fantastic job of taking the original book material and in a way changing the things from the book to making the plot better. I do think that the season was a little bit short, and you could tell at the end they did cut it a little bit short, and some things were a little bit too easy. But I think for what it did as a live action for a book series, I felt lukewarm about. Like, they just made a lot of really smart decisions, and one of them is making Mal actually a lot more likable and casting Ben Barnes as the Darkling. Like, just a lot of smart choices, great live action. Number 10 is Space Sweepers, which is a Korean movie available on Netflix starring one of my faves, Song Joong-ki. I watched this with my boyfriend and we both really enjoyed it. It's about like Earth kind of becoming inhabitable, and I don't know why I said that. Inhabitable. Sorry, my brain was just but yes, so people are like living out in like space, and there's other planets. I can't remember. I watched this like a while back, and what the plot essentially is like a group of bandits picking up space trash and trying to find like the best trash to like sell to make money. And honestly, that can be very, very real for us very soon. Like, the amount of space trash. Wow. But yeah, like, I think it was just the story was a very like solid space story. I had fun. I really liked a lot of people that were in the cast, and it worked. Like, it was very gimmicky in ways. Like, it was just like very like a lot of things you see being used in sci-fi, but I think it was gimmicky, fun, and well in a way. Number 11, and the last thing I'm going to be talking about today, is the Great British Bake Off season 12. I think the one for this year, 2021, is season 12, right? I feel the same as a lot of other people online, and it's so great when my reviewer thoughts align with others. But I do think this is one of the better seasons. Like, the Great British Bake Off has always been a very heartwarming and lovely baking reality show competition. Like, there's just something about it that's very calming, easy to watch, and just so much fun and so endearing. And I think this group of people that they picked were just amazing. So much like personalities, but like great personalities, people you want to be friends with, people you want to know, people you think are like cool. So there's that. Just like the contestants that they picked were very good this year. And in addition, like, the talent this year was just very like high. So the final products were just very, very impressive. Which is always fun to watch. I think the judging this year was good. I think the themes, or like the things that they battled on worked. There were like ones in the past that I was kind of like iffy about, but I felt like genuinely like everything really worked this season and worked out well. I do miss, like, family being able to like show up for the final episode and seeing the past contestants. So I hope that the UK is able to bring that back in the next year. However, like a lot of other people online, I do feel that the hosting has kind of dropped the ball a little. So hopefully we will be able to rectify that in the new year, and that's why it gets like a random like 4.9. Like, it's almost there at the 5, but there were just some things. And that's it for the video itself. Is titled Most Surprising TV and Movies I Watched in 2021. But like I said, these are just things that narrowly miss my best list that I still wanted to discuss and recommend. In the comments below, you can share some recommendations, or we can discuss about any of the ones that you've seen on this list and how you felt about them. Outro time. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in my next video, whenever that is. Bye!